Prometo manter, defender e cumprir a
Yesterday, the new president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, was sworn in. This is the third time he has been elected to the highest office. But this current term of his is going to be very different from his previous two terms. The second round of Brazil's presidential elections in the month of October had in fact shaped up to be far closer than expected, with Lula da Silva only narrowly beating Air Bolsonaro. And with a difference of only 2.14 million votes out of 156 million registered voters, that was a clear sign of the divisions currently within a country struggling to cope with a multitude of crises. In this video, we take a look at the most important challenges the current president would have to tackle head-on during his third term. But before that, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to One India. In his first speech, President Lula has vowed to rebuild a country that is in terrible ruins. He has pledged to undo the legacy of his predecessor, which he said involved depleting funding for education, health and the conservation of the Amazon rainforest. Besides, he has also promised to revoke Mr. Bolsonaro's controversial gun laws with immediate effect. During his term, Bolsonaro had stopped the conditional component of the Lula-era Bolsa Familia conditional cash transfer program. He had made them straight-up cash transfers which reportedly benefited more than 20 million families. And in the face of rising fuel costs and inflation, his government has also implemented a fuel subsidy program, including direct cash transfers to lorry drivers. But his energy subsidy programs were at best a short-term palliative or just a band-aid to stop bleeding. The effort excluded support for basic household goods and only halted the upward climb of inflation. But out of the several issues plaguing Brazil, the one which stands out and the one which is going to test Silva's resolve is the growing economic crisis. Compared with his first two terms in office from 2003 to 2010, the current economic outlook is rather negative and gloomy. Inflation is hovering at over 6%, despite the central bank's decision to raise interest rates to 13.75% in August, extending an 18-month tightening cycle. High borrowing costs are another major impediment for the country. They are said to constrain investment and consumptions, just as concerns over an impending global recession have started to affect commodity markets. The price of Brazil's key exports, which are soybeans, oil and iron ore, are all expected to slow down more in the coming days. Towards the end of his presidency, Bolsonaro's decision to raise cash handouts and cap taxes on gasoline and electricity had only added to Brazil's debt burden. Today, the country's debt to GDP ratio is almost 90%. High debt loads carry with themselves a more elevated interest burden, which limits public spending on things like education, healthcare and other social safety nets. This time, Lula will have to navigate more challenging economic conditions than he enjoyed in his first two terms, when the global commodities boom proved a windfall for Brazil. At that time, his administration's flagship welfare program had helped lift tens of millions of impoverished people into the middle class. In the intervening years, Brazil's economy has plunged into two deep recessions. First, during the tenure of his handpicked successor, and then during the pandemic, and ordinary Brazilians suffered greatly. It remains to be seen whether this new year will bring any long-term economic gains for the country or whether it will be just another mirage for the common Brazilians. President Silva's third term is set to battle steep economic challenges this time. We hope you would like this new video. Thank you for watching.
Subscribe to One India channel and never miss an update.